So HYPERION, one of the most wanted weapons among the Skyblock community. But what's special about it though? HYPERION, or well, Witherblade, is officially 3 years old now, along with the release of Floor 7 Dungeon on November 17th in 2020. During this period, Enman Slayer was still in development, which means HYPERION is the only weapon capable of clearing dungeons so fast, and it was known for its high DPS, clearing speed, and wide range. So how do you get a HYPERION? It is actually crafted by Necron's handle and 24 with the catalyst placing like the screen have shown. And with this, you have acquired yourself a Necron's blade, which is basically useless. As most of you probably know, there are 4 variations of Witherblade. This includes Scylla, Astria, Valkyrie, and the most popular one, HYPERION. They're essentially an upgrade to Necron's handle, and were all crafted using the fragments dropped from the Floor 7 Bloodroom Giants.
Also, you can buy it from Bazaar.
So why is the sword so popular? The most important aspect of this sword is actually its ability, with the impact, the ability that lets you go. So in case you don't know, Wither Impact is the combination of Shadow Warp, Implosion and Wither Shield. But then do remember that these scrolls are very expensive, and even with more and more people getting one, early and mid-game players could still find difficulty getting one, because there's one important thing you forgot. It's a Necron's handle. With its insufficient amount of supply and a whole community dying to get one, the price isn't likely to go down, and some people may start to pay to win. So imagine 9-year-old Jimmy stealing his mother's credit card to buy loads of gem to get one, with Hypixel behind all this laughing because some kid just traded real money for some block games currency. So in the early days of Dungeon, or should I say early days of Floor 7 release, the cost of opening the Necron's handle from chest is only 35 million, and 3.3 million for each of the respective scrolls. Things were happy and all until they changed the opening price to 100 million for a handle and 50 million for one single scroll on May 31st, 2023, causing once again the rise of HYPERION's price. So as I mentioned just now, Wither Impact can deal the highest ability DPS in the game, but do you still remember the old days when they haven't nerfed the holy Wither Impact? If you don't remember or don't know what I'm talking about, they basically reduced the radius of implosion from 10 blocks to 6 blocks. You may think that 4 blocks radius isn't a lot, but if you attend your math lesson or remember that the explosion is a sphere, after you did some quick math, you'd know that the nerf is actually around minus 78% in range. And it is very easy to use that people basically uses it against anything that is not immune to magic damage, which is the entirety of dungeon and 90% of non-dungeon mobs. And this is why HYPERION is the most popular variation among players, because it gives the highest intelligence, and since more intelligence equals more ability damage, and there are no other weird stats like attacking speed or ferocity that affects its performance, maximizing the intelligence is the smartest move, because it gives player more damage, which explains the popularity of HYPERION compared to its other variation. And with the smartness of Albert Einstein, the 3 basic Slayer became stupidly fast to kill. Zombie, Spider, Sven Slayers can be destroyed in seconds. But as some player may recall from their past that HYPERION doesn't work on Sven Packmaster, admins probably don't care anymore and just gave us the ability to hype them. By the way, in the early days, Wither Impact doesn't even give players skill XP after killing mobs, but no one really cares and thought it was intended by developers because of how good the weapon was. But turned out it actually wasn't, so this makes the value of HYPERION goes even higher out of nowhere. So you may wonder, how about Enman Slayers? With the introduction of Enman Slayer, most of the player base, maybe all of them, are using melee weapons, katana to be specific. to fight the Void Gloom Seraph, as it is the only way to deal with their 300 million HP. But Hyperion was still useful, as Wither Shield gave players a massive amount of absorption hearts and kept player from dying. A Hyperion may not be essential, but it is definitely a lifesaver for lazy player. But after a while, Hypixel have reduced the tier 4 Enderman's hit point down to 150 million. Alongside the release of Crimson Isle, players discover that RCM with Hyperion and Crimson Armor could be a faster way to kill a tier 4 Void Gloom. As a result, the value of Hyperion have raised once again. Anyways, when the new RNG system is released, it basically gives us players a high drop chance of your chosen item, which means it's easier to get a handle. Well, you know what that means? Since more player wants to get a handle for their floor 7 runs, and there's more people getting it, its effect on price eventually cancels out, leaving the economy with significantly more handles than scrolls. Well, I guess you also know what this means, right? Scrolls price went from 10 million to almost 300 million. To sum up everything of the video, you can probably see a pattern going on. As long as there's new content or just anything hostile being added to the game, the Hyperion will always find its place to shine and ultimately making its price even higher than before. Such a weapon, combined with its uniqueness, utility, amount of skill needed to use, which is having a finger and right click, it's hard to find an alternative for such a weapon. And so long as Hypixel doesn't release another broken ass weapon like this, Hyperion's price will continue rising, and it will always remain a place in players' heart.